Hey everybody, welcome to Tally the Votes, Australian Survivor. We are on week 4, and what a week it was. We're getting everybody making their final deals before we go into the big merge week. So, what do you guys think? Is it a little bit chaotic? Are we happy with the end results of the week? Anybody go home you were bummed out about?
Yes, but I felt like this was the first time this week where I started having multiple occasions where I thought, are they becoming a little US? Are they starting to? I don't know why. Because as US fans,
it couldn't have been US because it was actually enjoyable. All 3 episodes.
no, okay,
so it couldn't
no,
be like US.
never mind. Jamie shook her head. I saw that. There were some moments where it was like, it seemed like too much idol things going on this week.
Yeah.
Too many hidden idols, too many, and I thought, oh God, you guys don't.
Twisty twist week. It's like Julie Chen just popped into Samoa and was like, but wait, there's more.
And please, Jonathan, stop saying let's get it on. That's what Jeff says. Don't say that. He's like, let's get it on. No, you can't say that. That doesn't exist in Australian Survivor.
I got nothing for you.
Wasn't that like a wrestling thing?
Jonathan,
Yeah, it was. It was Let's Get It On came out of wrestling in like 80s.
That was Barry White, baby. All the way.
Oh, okay, originally, sure.
Okay, all right, you're right. Founder in chief of Let's Get It On.
Okay. But for those of us who were born after the 50s.
Well,
the Barry White was not popular in the 50s.
You had to be old enough to listen to him, and like 5-year-olds weren't listening to Let's Get It On.
But the cool thing is that like we have things recorded, and that gives us people from the future the ability to listen to recording sounds from the.
It wasn't like he like performed it one time, and if you missed it, that's it. That's how
that was it. If you were there, you know.
Sorry, David. Then you just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So there's a couple times where I thought this feels like they need to take the TV away from Jonathan. Don't let Jonathan watch US Survivor. Let's not. If Jeff wants to watch Australian Survivor, that's okay, because some of that can bleed that way. We don't want it to bleed the other way. And unlike some people, I don't hate US Survivor. I still very much enjoy it. I like it for its own thing. I can love more than one of my kids. You know what I mean?
It's like they're very completely different shows anymore. One is definitely like America is sort of more like it's no longer surviving the game in America. It's more like, who do you become in the game?
Yes. Yeah. How did you challenge yourself?
One game is Survivor, and the other game is Jeff Probst's abomination of a show that used to be Survivor.
What did you learn about yourself? What did you overcome?
Social engineering, and here, let me tell you my so very sad story.
Yes, I will say that. My husband will often say, "Why does everybody have to have a story?"
Yeah, look. There may be stories on Australian Survivor, but I give no fucks because they don't talk about them.
Could be somebody, maybe just the guys I'm like, I got a pretty good life, That's just
okay. But I do have to say,
regular dude.
I do have to say that there is something that I haven't got to talk to you guys about. I wasn't here last week, but one of the things that Australian Survivor is doing so well is it's taking something like Kelly, and it's like it's mocking Kelly telling her story. Ooh. It's mocking Kelly talking about where she's coming from and what her feelings are about things. And
not so much mocking, but me more realistic, like showing the side eye from the other people and the awkward.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that the music score they have made for Kelly is just flat out mocking.
Well, no. When she was like doing the hearts and stuff, that's for a child she lost, right? When she was doing the stuff.
I don't think so. I didn't. It's just her
No,
son's birthday.
it was just
Oh.
her son's birthday.
Well, that was
19 years
that was
old.
oddly funeral-like for a living
19
child.
years old.
I couldn't figure that out. I'm
David,
like, did I miss something?
she's a therapist. She's very in touch with her emotions. And she feels this child's birthday more than any mother has ever felt any child's birthday ever before.
Except for
He's
Rockstar.
beautiful, the most beautiful boy.
Rockstar's the only mother out there that can compete with feeling their child's birthday to that amount.
I mean,
Yes.
it was like, I get it that you feel that way, but you feel that way on the inside. You can't expect everybody to participate in your, dude, they don't even, sorry,
You know
they don't
what
even
though?
like you really very
I don't
much.
even care
And now-
though because listen, I don't even care because this is what Kelly brought to the table.
Ooh, it
This
was
is the
painful
one,
for
like
me, though.
the gem. This is the gem that Kelly brought to the table. I you know, I had ups and downs with Barris and his personality up until this point. Sometimes I like the clever thinking through of things, but then also I'm like, oh, you're way too full of yourself. Back and forth, back and forth.
Yes.
His reaction to every single silly thing Kelly did sealed the deal for me liking him.
That beer
because-
cap thing he was doing.
He was like, "What is cat?"
Oh my god!
And, like trying to catch one of the other people. Like, is this really like you're with me on this, right? This is not just me, right?
Every single Kelly moment, it would pan off, and you see Ferris there in the background, just giggling his ass off. And I can respect anyone that can clearly see the joke that's happening in front of them.
And you clearly didn't watch the show from last week because I went on and on about how Ferris was my public enemy #1 week 1, and now I'm kind of Team Ferris. And I don't even know how I got there.
David, here's the thing.
I think it's the hair.
I need to explain something to you, David.
When he puts it down and it's got good hair.
There's something that you don't recognize about yourself that Christy and I recognize about you. And that is, you didn't like King George at the beginning either. You thought you were going to hate this guy.
Remember?
And in fact,
he grew on you like a
fungus, but I said that.
I know. You admitted that you didn't like him at the beginning, that he grew on you. And this is the same thing.
Yeah.
And you want to know what? Production is banking on that.
Am I saying that he's as good of a player as George? I'm not saying that. No. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that his facial expressions and the way he communicates with people and how he'll sometimes say things or allude to things that need to be alluded to is really great.
And he just has personality that goes on for miles. You know what
I
I'm
agree,
saying?
yeah.
And I think the personality goes a long way, you know? And he doesn't take it too seriously.
Right. He seems to generally be pretty jolly about things. Like he'll laugh at things, you know, and just.
Yeah, because like I want to like Kirby, but she's like stoic. Like she's Greek or something. She's just like.
She is way too comfortable.
And you want to know what I was thinking this, and this is something I wanted to ask you guys. Something I've noticed about the way Kirby communicates. I know that we can all say we play a game a certain way and then be in it and it would be different. But I don't know why alarm bells are not going off like crazy every single time they talk to Kirby, because her answer for everything is always, yeah. That's it. It's all she gives. That's it. She never is like, oh yes, absolutely. I'm totally thinking the same thing, and then we can this and we can that, or I'm on the same page as you. It says, nothing. And that would I'd immediately like, she's got to go. I can't read her. She has to go. She's got to go. So, I mean, kudos to her. I mean, she's still there. It's clearly working, but I don't know how more people aren't really afraid.
Is it just because she has Scotty so in her pocket?
I don't know. And honestly, I feel like Scotty is just like Scotty.
Scotty's
we saw a lot more. We saw much more of him.
Virtually edited out of the show.
No, he got to talk quite a bit this week.
Yeah, but they put his name up on the screen. I go, who is that again?
Well, I think Scotty has. If you look at like Scotty and you look at like what's a good comparison, like Raymond, okay, they both have really important places in the game, but that important places may not be a win for themselves.
Right.
But they're really important pieces for bigger players because everybody likes Scotty. Same with Raymond. They're
Everybody
friends with
loves Raymond.
everyone. They can communicate between alliances. They're like the only people. Now they have their alliance, but they're like the only people that are really like communicating with both sides in a super like friendly manner.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are really important to keep circulating around you to protect your alliance. But then when you go to merge, they're easy ones. In theory, they're easier to pick off.
You would think, but we'll see, I guess. I don't know. I feel like once they merge, I feel like Kirby might be the first one in trouble because that information's getting out to everybody.
Well, I'm really interested to see when we do come to merge what we're going to get with the Ferris, Mark, and Kirby dynamic because it's been a long time. I feel that since we've had a merge that it has this big of players.
These many,
all the big players have made the merge.
Yeah, and that's not usual. So
no,
they took out the people who thought they were big players, but they were not big players, right?
Yes.
Well, they took out the people that were playing too hard too early. I mean, that seemed to be the theme.
Yeah.
Now, okay, let's go really quick through the first episode of the week.
Titled Bad Hair Day.
And there's really not a lot of there's not a lot going on at the beginning of the
promoted
episode.
Jamie.
I guess.
We're all back. There's not a whole lot going on at the beginning part of the episode. It's really most everything happens at the end of it. So other than one quick note, I think is really important to point out that I absolutely loved it when Valeria said that Ferris is only going to play the idol to save his own butt checks. It's my new favorite thing.
Butt checks. I mean, everyone's tired of corn, rice, wheat checks. That's old news.
It's time for butt checks.
Yeah.
Valeria, her accent just cracks me up.
Because you can totally hear the Russian in it, but you can totally hear the Australian in it too, right?
But I keep thinking she's going to say it. She's going to make big trouble for Moose and Squirrel.
Yeah, she's got a little villain in there.
A little of that, right?
So we got our classic, wait a minute, you don't get to vote yet. You have to fight for your right to get the chance to vote. So like last season, this was a big one for Simon, right? This is where Simon saved his game for, 4 or 5 more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I have to say, you've argued a long time, Jamie, that there are as many twists in Australian Survivor as there are US. And I think what Australia does that US doesn't do is they throw the twists at them at Tribal much more frequently.
Oh, yeah, that's what I've always said. If we can take these twists and put them into Tribal, that gives... The reason why it works so much better is it doesn't matter what the twist is, but when it's presented in Tribal, it gives production and editing control of what happens with that twist to some degree. If the twists are just out there thrown in the wild, it's really easy. When you've got players like Sarah who couldn't stop talking about and just spilling the beans about everything, stuff like that.
So honest.
Yeah, secrets don't work out well with certain people, and so they put all this energy into writing something in a twist and what the possibilities of that could be, and then it falls flat. And it falls flat more often than it is successful. You put it in Tribal, now we can control it. We can say, this is what the twist is, these are the guidelines of the twist, and you're not going to stretch out of those guidelines. It's just straight and narrow, here you go.
And I just like to see them think quick on their feet because they come in with the plan and they have to immediately pivot.
But how does the hourglass twist change if that's presented to her at Tribal?
Yeah, honestly, because if Erica would have had to make the decision in front of everybody in that moment with that hourglass, she could have chosen something completely different. She could have heard like a compelling remark rather than just being left alone, feeling abandoned. Everyone knew how that was going to play, but there's a reason we're not doing the hourglass anymore, because it's the you win, you've won.
Stupid.
We're not taking a win away from you.
Correct.
So you go into Australia and they say, well, you've made it this far, but you haven't won yet. So
it's
now
like,
you've got to challenge some more.
In the timeline of Survivor, there are certain points that are fixed points in the timeline. That's a win. You can mess in between the wins and you can throw things in, but those are fixed points. You can't, that's just not fair. That is literally like just going, you know what, we like the other team better. We're gonna reverse it. Sorry. Yep. That's not cool.
It was a great, it was a close competition. It was, lots of suspense, and it was very close throughout the whole thing. That little Charles, he was this close. He almost had it.
Oof.
Almost had it. But he kind of set himself up in tribal. Like, I think he would have been okay, but like his game in general was all right. But when he got into tribal, man, he couldn't.
He was way too outspoken.
Yes.
He was like, why are you saying that? Like, you're way too confident or something?
He would have been so much better as just saying, it's really the rebels got to decide, and I'm just going to hang back. I'm happy to be here. That would have been the play.
But he wanted to come in and like tell somebody they were wrong. Kind of.
Well, Valeria was doing the exact same thing. Let's be frank.
She was, but we just haven't. He kind of does talk though. He doesn't. We haven't heard a lot from Charles. That was a lot for Charles.
We hardly knew ye.
We hardly knew him.
But then we've got this little thing that Winna tries to do, and I can see why he was pushing for that.
That was actually smart.
If it would have,
he was trying to draw the votes onto himself, knowing he was going to.
But it was too obvious.
Well, fine.
Yeah,
it was too obvious.
Would have needed it. But hey, give him the opportunity to flush the idol out, because that is one thing that I can say about this group and this tribe specifically is they can sniff when somebody is bluffing with the idols, right? Like so far they've been really successful on the we're gonna flush this idol, and then the idol holder going, they're just trying to flush it, I'm fine.
But I have to say, and I'm gonna later in the podcast.
Except for PETA. PETA did not get the memo on any of this.
Later in the podcast, I'll be critical of Ferris gameplay. In the most recent episode, but in this episode, I thought the solution was brilliant. The splitting votes, because it didn't matter.
Nope.
Then if the idol was literally taken out of play.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was. I never thought of it. I thought it was brilliant. I thought that's exactly what you do. You have two, they have one. You split it. You go to the revote. You win.
Yeah.
It was
because most people. I think most people wouldn't think that with next step of, well, if because they don't want to do a revote. Right. But it's like, no, you still control it. So there you go. Yeah,
we also have one thing we do have with this, because they always say, oh, we're going to draw the lines. This vote's going to draw the lines, and then the line inevitably shifts every week. But one thing we did get to see is that we know for sure now, like, which side of that line Eileen is playing on. Because she definitely had the opportunity to join up with the others, with the OGs, and she just was not going to move. Literally, wasn't going to move a hair.
And she actually said, if I do that, I'll be a flopper. And
I feel like they pushed her into picking a side, right? Didn't it feel like it was kind of like
no? I think she was always Team Ferris.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I feel like she's 100% with them. Yeah, because she was like, Garrett, player idol, Garrett, player idol. Garrett.
I think there's more to that relationship than we've seen.
Yes.
Okay, that's probably fair. But boy, we got to finally see Garrett. He hates Kirby so much.
Yeah, he did. There was so
much. And it's like out of nowhere. So he's been saying that this whole time. But we only have gotten... Yeah, all we had seen were Ferris's confessionals of where he's kind of makes it look like it's just him going head to head with Kirby, but Garrick really didn't like her. Did not like her at all.
Well, yeah, it really seems like Garrett had.
Oh wow.
Gary had a big issue on like her first vote, you know, when she was like, "Oh, I'm just going to play this, so maybe soften this side." And from that point on, he was like, "She's not to be trusted.
She's a snake." He's not wrong though.
And Charles is saying the same thing. He's literally saying like, you literally did what you're saying like is unforgivable in this game, and you've done it. Oh, well, she's got enough people that are willing to back her on what she's saying right now, and that's all that matters in this game.
It totally makes me feel better about Kirby being upset with her or picking up, like, going, like, being nemesises or whatever they are, nemesi. Because if Garrett...
That's a pluralization?
I don't know.
Nemesis.
It is now.
It's nemesis.
It could be nemesises.
It's nemesis.
Okay.
Jeez. Haven't you ever watched Mystery Men? There's a whole scene about it.
If it was Garrick and Varys talking about that, they would both feel completely justified in there and be like, do you know what I mean? Getting each other, really not liking her.
Yes.
Right? It's easy to get together and complain about somebody with somebody else who's like-minded. That's all I'm saying. It's not just Varys over there going, I don't like her. That makes a lot more sense now to me.
Well, you get a few things that are becoming clear. One thing that I don't think was very clear was the whole thing we saw with Rhee last week. You know, we got very little about Rhee voting for Mark instead of Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
That was weird. It was something had to have happened. There had to have been a conversation at some point that made her shift that.
Originally,
and then all we got
she was told to vote for Mark. And she just didn't get the memo on the change.
They didn't include her because it didn't matter if she voted for Mark or not.
But also, everybody else who originally had that plan was told, no, because everyone changed.
But they didn't show her change. So that makes me feel like she was left out of that change. So, which should clue her into...
You know, maybe she was left out of it by accident or on purpose.
Because she seems to be doing whatever they tell her to do.
But it is it's a really weird plot line to introduce us to and then to just not follow up on it on the following week. It's a weird choice. Maybe it'll come back into play. Yeah, maybe it'll come back into play later. But right now it feels really like it's weird that it just got dropped. So I hope it does, because not that it's, you know, super relevant, but
sometimes when they set that stuff up, sometimes when they set that stuff up, it's for something that happens a couple episodes later.
Sure.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
But frankly, it was her vote. It was like they had to show it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they had to show her vote, but everything was, okay, we're doing this, we're doing this, we're doing this. We're putting on the brakes. It's very clear we're not going to do this. It's not a big surprise when we see it in Tribal. But why is her vote still that way? That is weird. It makes no sense.
Well, I'm a big believer in the Spanner vote. Just, you know, if I was on a side and it was going to be 8-1, I would throw a random vote on somebody and deny all week I did it. I'd be like, every week I'd be voting for some random person.
Some random person. And if
she had said, like, later.
Right. And if she had said, like, this is just to set myself up later, or this is, you know, to keep them confused or anything, but it was like, what? What? But why?
Yeah.
I don't know. But it might come back. It might come back.
So the first vote's tied. They go to the revote, and Charles goes home on a 2-1 vote, which is predictable. Yeah. But here's what you may not know is, does anyone know what Charles' last name was?
Not past the day that I read the introduction.
And I only bring this up for fans of the movie Caddyshack. His last name is Noonan.
Okay.
Noonan. And every time I see him now, I think of the movie. Okay, old movie.
Charles Noonan.
Yay, Noonan.
Hello, Noonan. It's not wrong show.
Noonan.
That's good. I like that. So let's see. What was episode 11's title?
The next one we've got is If It's Not So Wrong.
Oh, it's so right. Which was really, I did chuckle when they said that line. It was funny. Jared's not very smart, but he's punny.
Okay, so we've got Jaden sitting pretty.
Or Jaden, sorry.
Jaden knows he's sitting pretty. Valeria is apparently Moon. No, she's not immune, but she's a moon. She's a moon to Ferris.
She's a
charm.
moon.
She's a moon to him. She's a moon to him. So like she's just orbiting around him, around Ferris. Just
Yep. Carolyn
think
believes it's better to merge with Ree rather than Alex. There's some conversation about Charles. But then let's go to the challenge. We had that foothold challenge, an hour and a half hold on that challenge.
And I'm going to reiterate my complaint about these challenges when they adjust the weight, which they didn't do this year, by the way.
Right.
In the holding up the buckets thing, but they usually do. I always thought, why don't the people with bigger feet get bigger footholds? It's fundamentally unfair.
They really only were on those pegs for the first round, right? Because then they had to put their feet on that hot plank.
and then it's like you're 6 years old again on the playground and you're trying to go up the slide.
And was it
burning the bottom of
you take your socks and shoes off because your feet are sweaty and you can grip onto the slide. Right? Come on, we all did it.
And I love that everybody is like in pain. They're toughing it out. Everything's going well. And then they got Kelly and she's like, I can't, it's the nausea. The nausea.
Nausea. Yeah, the nausea is coming.
Nausea. Obviously.
But it started, nausea. The nausea.
But she stayed on for like an hour, didn't she?
She did. I'm just like, what is this? Stop it. Just
I will say not a single person who went out fell out. They all made a conscious, so they must have been all very concerned they were going to fall. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think they said something? Because it looked like a little dangerous to fall from that one.
Right. So that's why I'm saying when they decided to quit, they all had to make a decision. It wasn't like they accidentally slipped and fell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, and again, I would imagine that was very hot. So it's like it's not even enough where your feet are going to stick. It's like they're burning every time you have to go up another step.
Okay, Miss Art background. Which one burns more, the blue one or the pink one?
I would think that the blue one does.
I think they're about the same. I don't think one's a particularly.
I'll tell you though, if you have the bottom of your feet on that compared to, like your arm skin, it's probably going to be a lot different. So it probably is a little bit dangerous.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? And I'm going to reiterate my complaint that what I don't like when they change challenges in the middle, and it bothers me. They goes, no, we're going to juice it up. We're going to make it one-handed. Well, it's like you've set up the challenge a certain way. I've had a strategy to this point, and now you just change it. I don't like it.
That's what we call the host is getting tired and cranky. How are we going to end this?
But it does affect everybody equally. No.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. So now we're going to do this one-handed. Right? Now we're one-handed. Also, can we just talk about this? Because I think it's really important. The fact that none of us have discussed that Kitty has basically got the body of a weightlifter with the librarian's face. It's like, who is this woman? She's amazing.
She's like, we looked her up last week. What is she, like 44? And
I think she looks like she
for days.
She looks like to me like she'd be in the health profession somewhere. Like she'd be this nurse that
we looked this
she'd move the bodies all by herself.
She owns a gym or something, didn't we do it? Yeah.
But she has that I don't know.
Yeah, her shoulders.
The way she speaks is very
perfect.
Yeah. Her honesty, her straightforwardness did not help her this week though.
It certainly did not. It certainly did not.
But she was telling her the truth.
Yeah, and also I think she just here's the thing: when we get food rewards, they usually include booze, and then people just get chatty.
Yes. They've had no food. Now the first thing they do is chug some booze.
And I think they got to update that. I think they got to throw them gummies once. Wouldn't that be funny?
Well, I don't know.
Throw them gummies and they give them food like 45 minutes later.
Can you imagine? Like we've seen what happens when they get,
They usually tear it up. They'd really tear it up.
Yeah, they get sugar.
You have your
coffee.
Choice. Do you want this steak or this bag of Cheetos?
Oh my God! Give them gummies and then do the auction.
Can they make wise choices? Oh no!
I have one chip, $500.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's funny.
So then they're kind of tossing out this plan. Like plan number one is that Alex is going to vote for Ree, but then everyone else is going to vote for Alex. And then we go to plan number two, which is targeting Mark. But then Caroline realizes that, like, you can't take a shot at him and miss. So she's starting to get really paranoid that that's not going to happen.
But she had talked. I don't know why she got paranoid, though, because she had talked to everybody, hadn't she? She was like unsure that they were sure or something. Or did did she lose her nerve to take her shot?
Maybe. But if you lose your nerve to do something and then you can unwind the plan that everyone already agreed to, that's more than just having, like, there's a different direction to go at that point. There's something else that's brighter and shinier in the moment. But we are not going to know entirely unless we listen to exit interviews, because when they get to tribal, surprise, there's another twist.
Another twist?
Well,
another twist.
This, again, to be intellectually honest, I have to say that I am very critical of U.S. shows when they have the non-elimination week.
Yeah.
And it bothers me marginally less because I know it's going to happen twice every season in AU Survivor, but it annoyed me this time. It was like, eh.
Well, because it did work out well for Mark, though.
Yeah.
Well, yes, it did, but it also really worked out in Ferris's favor.
Yes, it did. Both of them.
Because you knew as soon as Alex went over there, he was going to join up with those boys, without a doubt. So, that wasn't a surprise. It wasn't a surprise that that's who they were going to send over. Had Reed gone, though, Kirby would have had another number. So
that would have changed the outcome of the next episode for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and the two.
But how amazing was it?
Pushed out. Go ahead.
How amazing was it with Kelly's welcome of Alex back to the when she just starts and he's like, "Oh yeah." She said she thought she had a nightmare and heard his voice, which that's always nice to tell somebody. And then she proceeds to be his nightmare.
And it's so great because it was literally like, this is when all the hysterical moments started happening, because it was like, Ferris, meet Kelly. This is Kelly.
Okay, here's the deal. At the beginning of this season, we thought Kelly was a little cuckoo, right?
Right.
Like she's a little, but now she is this many days in with no food, apparently really missing her family or something. Like she is a different level of Kelly now.
And they're at a very different level of tolerance for Kelly.
Yeah.
I prefer to think she cranked up the Kelly. She went full Kelly. We're gonna turn the Kelly up to 11.
And they had left her around for so long just because they knew they could kind of control her, and she was just kind of chaos, and like they didn't feel threatened by her. But at some point, she just was gonna rub them the wrong way.
The wrong way. So we end up having to draw rocks. Alex gets to go back to the Titans. And that's pretty much what sums up that episode. It was a really great segue into the two main storylines of this week.
Mm-hmm. Parallels, right?
Yes, the parallels. We go into the third week, the third episode, which is To Infinity and Beyond. We get like one of the best montage, whatever you want to call it, with Kelly right at the beginning, when we've got all of the Kelly themed music going on in the background, and she's going on and on about everything.
And it's like echoing, and it's like 20 Kellys speaking at once.
And we see Ferris making the faces in the background. And then we get the whole thing with her son's birthday. But then when we pull back into game, it's really interesting because Kirby and her gang are all kind of talking about who's the obvious choice to go next. Who are we going to put our targets on? Who's going to be the easiest? And they mention Raymond. And then Kelly, comes unhinged about that.
See, I didn't think initially
she had saved him.
I think all she said was, "I don't want to go that way," and I felt like Kirby and V absolutely ganged up on her, and you know what? And she went, "Screw you guys, then,"
because they're getting too comfortable.
But also, I feel like Kelly being with them for how many days are they at now? Like 30 days, something like that. Spending that amount of time with Kelly, especially Kirby, and Kirby, who has pulled Kelly back around and stood in front of her a few different times.
Mm-hmm.
For Kelly to not, look at it again. We're talking about not having the best of sleep, and you're, hungry, you're not comfortable, and Kelly didn't just say, "Oh, I am uncomfortable with voting for Raymond. He's my friend." She was like, "No, absolutely not. I can't believe you guys asked me to do this."
It didn't start that way. She initially said, "I'm not comfortable with it, and I don't want to go along with it." That's all.
And they kept talking about it.
And they kept pushing her.
And so she was being like more
I would go
emphatic.
as far as to say they kind of were bullying her.
Maybe.
Because why? But why? Because I think that Kirby's getting more and more confident every week in how she's controlling this, which means that she's not taking other people's feelings into consideration, and she's not sugarcoating things. So she's getting more pushy. Meanwhile, V, we saw how she talked. Her and Charles were talking that at their tribal before. V is likewise getting very confident. For someone who shouldn't be confident on that tribe because they were the minorities, she's very confident. So they have no so I think that's what it is they're getting like too.
No, I agree, but I think to try to say and then Kelly flipped out, I didn't see
and then they want
to
tell Ferris that he's paranoid. It's like, no, you guys are changing too. Okay.
Everybody in that tribe should be paranoid 100% of the time because no one's actually truly aligned for Jack squat. Everyone should be paranoid of each other there.
I think that moment when Kelly said she didn't want to vote Raymond, I'm going to award to Kirby the first awful gameplay point of the season. Because what Kirby should have simply said is, fine, we'll get rid of Eileen. What does it matter? You know what? Why was Raymond the cross to die on?
Well, I think it's because they were convinced about idols. They've all convinced themselves.
Oh yeah, they thought Raymond had one.
But they didn't think Eileen had one.
No, but they knew that Eileen was supposed to work with them and was supposed to send them intel, and she flipped against them. She played double agent. So now they're a little bit sketchy about how to go around her. Then you've got Ferris, who says, is obvious about having an idol. Now there's questioning if Alex has the idol. So now we've got the possibility of these idols floating around. Who's the easy, obvious choice just to diminish their numbers was Raymond.
They weren't wrong.
Or Kelly.
But they didn't spell it out for Kelly. And I think Kelly is the kind of person that if you knew how to play socially, you would know I'm going to have to really spell this out in the kindest way for this person. She's going to have to see the writing in the sand. Otherwise, she's just going to say no. But Kelly didn't say, tell me why. Why does it make sense? She's just, no. And that's how they...
But then basically they said, fine, if you're not going to do it, then fine. And they basically let her stomp off.
Right.
And had Ferris not engaged in what the play I will say was bad gameplay number 2 in this episode, Kirby would have been freaking gone. And that was a bad decision. When you're on a 5-4 split, you don't alienate one of your people like that.
Now, let me
over something that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this though. We've seen a little bit of it as viewers, but how many times have we seen this alliance? Raymond and Kelly aren't naturally in the same alliance together. Mm-hmm. They've both kind of parted into different alliances, and then they come together publicly,
right?
And chat.
Right. But I guess my point
now
is,
at this moment, I think if you see Kelly saying, no, we can't get rid of him, I'm sure in their heads it was like, oh, this is why we can't trust Kelly. And I'm certain that there is probably a part of them where they're like, oh my God, I can't wait till we can cut her. Cut her. And then that happened. It was like,
it hits. Yeah, exactly. It's not that they couldn't just go, who cares? Well, yeah, okay, that's fine.
But they were like,
we're so sick of you.
That would have been the smart play. Would have just picked another target out of the 4 and gotten rid of them. And that is what, somebody, when you think of exceptional game players, Boston Rob, he would pick the person to go home every week and he'd make somebody else in his alliance think that was their idea.
But another thing that Boston Rob did that I'm just because we're making that comparison, I do want to point this out with Kirby, and I've watched it. She has a very Boston Rob way of playing this game, kind of creating a little cult following with her people, always being there. Every time they talk, she will get her ass up and she will sit down right next to them. She is never letting them be alone, ever. And that's what got Rob through his game. He would never let them be alone.
It doesn't work as well for Carolyn.
Or Kirby, yeah. It's
but for her, somehow nobody minds. And they're asking her, and it's like she just says it, and they go, but this. I think that even her alliance is seeing that that she's too calculated and that she's dangerous. The own alliance has to see it.
Had you swapped Ferris and Mark out this week, and it would have been Mark against Kirby, she'd have gone home as a result of the plays she made with Kelly.
Yeah, I think that Mark is a lot more savvy with the numbers and knowing when to drop a plan. That's one thing I'm going to say about Mark, too.
Think, honestly,
he knows when to back off of something, which is surprising because you don't see a lot of restraint in a game player that's still clever.
I think it's more that Ferris is the kind of person that Ferris is very cheeky, right? He'll say things and be like piss you off by something he said, but I feel like he wouldn't hold the grudge. I feel like he was being honest when he says he doesn't want to fight with Kirby anymore. Like, can we just? This doesn't make sense.
But let's talk about that. We're getting ready to go into merge, right? Everybody knows it. It's no secret. Okay,
it's getting closer
Ferris
every day.
Has to know that Kirby at least has Ree on the other side, right?
Yeah.
So by him allowing her to go to merge, he's behind in the numbers again.
But he's already been laying the groundwork, telling people that she's running things. He's not going to be the target at merge. She's going to be.
Maybe. But my point is that all he had to do once Kelly was upset, Kirby probably wouldn't have been the target. The target would have been probably V. But the point is, they could have absolutely gotten anybody out that Ferris wanted to, because Kelly, I don't think she would have voted for Kirby. I really don't. But I think she'd have voted for V in a heartbeat to keep reigning.
Probably.
And so why not do that?
And that probably would have been good for everybody's game, not Mark's.
The advantage for him, the chaos that Kelly brought was actually good for Kirby's game. So why not bring that into merge and...
Well,
here's the problem. Here was Kelly's problem. When they got to their feast, Kelly was telling everybody's business. You can't do that. And at some point, even if you think you can work with them and you can get them to vote the way you want them to vote, if they're going back and telling everything that you've said or your group has said to everyone else, oh my gosh, you can't control the information.
But she wasn't alone in that. Kitty was shockingly honest to V about what happened to Viola.
But Kitty's not with Kirby. Kirby doesn't give a crap if Kitty's telling stories. She's not telling her stories.
No,
Kelly's telling her stories. So that's why she was like, she's got to go.
Yet another reason to give them gummies. Can you imagine the stuff they'd say?
And I think Ferris would see the same thing. Anybody who thinks I could sway Kelly and I can use her as a number, I can pull her in, she'll be lower to us. Look at how Kirby just treated her. But then you go, but then she's going to betray me too. She's not not
reliable, and that's just
there you go. She's not reliable. She's loyal but not reliable. Yeah.
But my point is that eroding Kirby's number by 1 going into merge was a smart play here.
Sure,
nobody can tell
on that
me
hand,
Kelly
but
was a smart play.
But that's damage you can see. You can calculate that damage, right? Yes. We're going to be down a number. But what Kelly has been doing, you can't calculate how much damage she's going to do to your game. Because you don't know.
I have to put out
anything.
You gotta look at it like this, okay? Her number one person out there was somebody that was not in her alliance. She ended up going home trying to defend a person that was not in her alliance, and she sent that same person to the woods to look for an idol for her to play on herself, and that man wrote her name down.
Yeah.
But he actually was like, somebody found him. He's like, what are you doing? Looking for an idol. Why? Because Kitty told me to. Okay.
Well, yeah.
No, Callie told her to.
And you know what? He wasn't really looking. He was like, when you
he was not really looking.
He's like when you send a middle schooler out to the backyard to rake the yard, and then you look out the window later. That's what he was doing. He's just slapping.
He was just staying away from her.
And
I'm staying away from you, Kelly.
Like sleeping in the woods behind the house.
Sleeping in the woods randomly in the middle of the night.
Jeez. So yeah, I thought, she's unpredictable.
I was okay with Kelly leaving the game, and one of the biggest reasons why is because there's the type of personality that can really muddle a clean game up in a really fun, chaotic way, and then there are people who just make it a mess and it's not fun. And unfortunately, Kelly was getting into that mess that wasn't fun anymore.
Well, she was going to full Kelly.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you the question that I asked Christy last week.
All right.
Kelly, is she chaotic good, chaotic neutral, or chaotic evil?
Oh, she's chaotic evil 100%.
See, I don't see that. There was no evil in her.
She thinks she's chaotic good.
Yeah, that's what's so bad.
But I think that she means her actions to be good. They don't always have good results. So I think she probably is a net zero on her actual actions outcome. No, I think she has good intentions, but I think the things she does and that are good and the things she does that are bad it makes a net zero, so that makes her neutral.
So that's what you said last week. You said she was neutral. I think she's just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but that's just me.
Do you know what's chaotic awful? Is Alex's ability to find an idol when he's given exact directions. Like
that was painful, right?
Okay,
that man did not find that idol.
This thus brings me to number 3
bad
gameplay award. Who doesn't take a second idol when they have it in their hand?
Especially when Alex is so clearly looking for it. Just take it. Don't let anyone see that you took it.
You know what you do? You go to tribal, you hang them both on your neck, and you go, what are you going to do?
Right. George would do that. But I feel
and he wants to be George. You think George would have ever given up an idol?
No, he wouldn't have. But I feel like Ferris has tried really hard because it seems to be right now his gameplay is to not stick his head out quite as far as he was before.
Yeah.
And he knows they're going to merge, and when the two groups get to merge, they're going to be looking as a group, who do we got to take out? And I think he just wants to stay low. If he came into merge with two idols,
get you to final 8.
But two idols is like now you have a reputation, and now no matter what, they're going to take a shot at you every single time to get those idols gone.
You know how you play those two idols? You go in, if there's 10 people in the finals, and you say, you know what, I'm playing my idols the next 2 weeks, so don't vote for me. I'm telling you right now I'm playing them. And you do it. And then by the time then everything is shaken up, the lines are drawn, you know right where you're at. Because the most vulnerable time is the week after the merge.
Yes.
Because you don't really know where people are going to land, right?
Right.
Correct.
I don't know. So I feel like I see what you're saying.
2 votes post-merge.
And it would be super interesting if we could split into 2 universes, and he would have taken both and seen if he could have played it that way. I just think he didn't want to have that reputation.
I got a laugh out of your Save Ferris text today, Kelly or Christy.
Did you like that?
But I thought to myself, he's more Cameron than he is Ferris, really. He's not that clever.
He's
joyful. He's not Cameron.
And he's got that cheeky thing for sure.
Yeah, but he's not very cheeky. He's not particularly clever.
I like cheek. I like a lot of cheek.
I mean, let's face it. Ferris in the movie was pretty clever.
Yes, he was.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Now,
he's not clever.
Do you think
George is
clever and likable? But George was unlikable sometimes to some people with his cleverness. Ferris, everyone loved him. Yep. Anyway.
Now, what if we've got Ferris helping Alex out on getting that idol? Because look, 1, he's creating a bond with this player that he knows it can be a physical threat alongside of him.
Mm-hmm.
2, he's giving him protection. I mean, that's the best thing you can give somebody in this game is an idol. There's no higher honor. There's no better gift for someone.
But why didn't he give it to Eileen?
Because I don't think she has as many people looking at her. She's not Okay, I almost bet you that when Ferris went into this game, he suspected before he saw the rest of the cast. He knew he had a certain amount of social game he could play, but I bet you he was banking on what he perceives as his own cleverness and his own physical abilities more than anything. And then
Neither
he
of which are that.
I mean, they're not horrible, but he thought they were more than they are. Yeah.
Right. And then you get into especially this cast when you see so many people who are physically just like badasses, including Mark, who's like a sleeper badass.
This is an exceptionally strong cast. You know who else was strong? Was Charles with this hanging the stuff. We talked about it last week.
Yeah,
he
even
had two
Charles,
of those things, and he was the last person to drop.
And
he has a kung fu grip, is what he's got.
See, and that's what I'm saying. So the players that we would be perceiving as like physically weak, the ones that are going to be hard to beat in individual immunity or easy to beat in individual immunity challenges, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are kind of out of the game now. Everybody's fairly competitive. There's not everybody can be like Jaden and literally carry two men in his arms I think through the water.
Kelly was like the last of like the weak people, right?
Yeah, I really think so, because
I don't mean that negatively. Like, she was less, because we saw Eileen do really well in her chat. I mean, so like even people that you think, oh, they're not as strong or not, but
So now you're in merge, and normally it's at merge, you've lost a lot of the tough people, the strong men, right? But here's a merge where a lot of them are still in the game. So your best plan at this point is you need the other strong guys to be in your alliance. So if you're with them looking for an idol and then you're helping them find an idol, they get the idol, you're the one that's there to high five them, congratulate them, and you don't say anything until you need to say it. That's a huge, like, him having the idol is one set of security, but it does put a target on his back. What's the next best thing?
But he has the target already for the one.
Yes, but the next best thing is knowing the other person who has the idol. So if someone comes sniffing,
and they're on your side,
I'm saying yes, it's a.
Are we sure Alex is going to stay with Ferris after the merge?
Yes.
I think he is, but
I'm fairly certain. I don't think he's as poorly received now as he was towards the beginning when the Cuddle Crew thing was happening. But I don't think that there's a lot of love out there for Alex.
The Cuddle Crew, that was so long ago.
Why don't we go through Jonathan's final words for the 3 episodes, and then let's talk we'll go one by one through the remaining candidates and talk about their prospects. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds good.
I got to get my list out.
Good.
I have a list, so I can call them out
good.
one by one.
Okay, all right.
But Jamie, hopefully, because last week we had to suspend the ranking of Jonathan's final sentence because neither Christy or I take notes.
They were so memorable, we didn't even write them down.
We didn't have the Necronomicon of Jonathan's quotes, so.
Well, we realized last week that really, Jamie, you're our brain, and Christy is our humor, and I'm our righteous indignation.
I'm really sorry that
old man yelling at clouds.
I am Dave's righteous indignation.
Okay, so here's the first we get from the first episode. Jonathan ends it with, in a game where anything can happen, it pays to have your mind open and your plan too. Yeah. Second episode, we've got, you might think that you've sent a loyal spy to the other side. This game has a history of turning spies into, I don't know, I didn't get the rest of that. It doesn't matter because it was
a grenade or something, I think he said.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
And the last that wasn't very good either.
No.
And the last one is, this tribe has been talking about coming together for a long time. It looks like this time it has. Okay.
I'm going to vote for none of the above. They all sucked.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
Jonathan, stop listening to Jeff.
You know what I think it is?
You need the clever, play it on what's happened.
I think like he had his metaphorical hair, Samson haircut or something, because he's lost his game when it comes to those.
Oh, Jonathan.
Because they were so funny last year.
Clever. Yeah. I like clever.
And they're not clever this year.
Well, I mean, he had to out-clever George. So, I mean, maybe he was inspiring. You know?
Maybe.
You think about like the oil and water that you had at almost every tribal that involved Simon and George. Like that's just a treasure trove of things to quote and play off of.
And love or hate George, George had to be incredible for ratings, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Had to have been.
Okay, so what we're going to do as we go through these is instead of going alphabetical order, we're going to go one from the front of the alphabet and one from the back so that we don't.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, Eileen.
She's
Where's
good.
she at in the game?
She's in the top runners. I feel like she's in the top. She's not the top of the top runners. She's like the bottom of the top runners.
Can she win?
No.
I don't know. I did.
She's like, oh, we'll take her to 5th.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know if she can win.
I'm there with you. I think probably not. And that brings us to our next floater, Winna.
Yeah, Winna can win.
Winna can't win. He's got no game. He's done
Winna
nothing.
Can win. Doesn't matter. Winna can win. He can handle things physically. He can compete in the challenges, even if he's not the top. But this game has a long history of the top people getting kicked out right at the end, and the ones right behind them are the final runners.
Yeah, but I can't name two people he could be with out of the 10 that he'd win over. Who's he going to win over?
In the merge, who does he go with?
Oh, he's going to go with Kirby because that's where he is.
He's going to go in the Kirby numbers for sure. Yeah. I mean, if they lose,
but they do understand that Kirby was just using them, right?
But
hold on. But he also, here's the thing though, like we were talking about how Raymond is an important player in he's like a glue in this. That's another thing with Winna, because Winna is friends with Mark. He's friends with Mark and Valeria. So
that's why I think he would kind of flip that way back.
Yeah. Okay, I could see him becoming Mark's wingman on this, whether he could go further in the game or not, but I don't know.
I think he
could he win? He could win.
I cannot name of the final 10. I can't name two people he'd beat at a final tribal right now.
I don't think he wins, but I mean, if he could get there and he's with I don't know.
Do they take 3? Did they take 3? I can't remember now. I can't believe I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
Yes, they take 3.
Okay, so are him and Valeria going to be the bridge between Mark and Kirby?
I think so.
You think that Mark will go with Kirby versus Ferris?
I do not.
You think he'll go with Ferris? Okay.
I think that Mark is going to go with whoever looks like they're in the better standing in the moment. I cannot predict which one he's going to go with until I see the episodes right at merge, because he watches things, and Mark isn't afraid to shift. Like I said, he's not afraid to pull back on a plan or shift things over by what he's watching. So I have no predictions which way Mark goes until I see them all interact together as one tribe. I can't.
I feel like him and Kirby's games might be too similar in how they, they're like taking it all.
Well, even Ferris wants, though, honestly.
Mark wants at a minimum input into the decisions. Kirby is going to abide no other opinions but hers. They will not work together.
You might not be wrong there. Or she'll just argue until she continue to argue why.
She can't be bothered to hear them.
Why hers is the best.
That's going to change?
Because I don't think Mark would back down, but I think she'll just keep saying why hers is better.
Right. I think she's got very little EQ, in my opinion. But
wow.
Okay. Next candidate is.
Then
Alex.
Winna and Veal have to actually pick where they're going to go. Who's next?
Alex.
Could he be the underdog that? No.
I think he's a number. He's a floater. I'd take him to the end if I was there.
I mean, he'd have to do something. What is going on?
I wouldn't want him to be at the end, because being in a final challenge against him, I would cut him by 5. With those final challenges,
unless you're aligned with him, and him winning means he's going to take you.
Yeah. Or if he just goes on a immunity tear or something.
I don't foresee Alex being somebody who is going to take an alliance member because he's loyal to them. He's going to take somebody he can beat, period, point blank. He's not even going to think twice about it. He's going to go.
He's just playing a game.
Yep,
There's no, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just.
He's doing the maths, guys. He's doing the maths.
Okay, so next we have Valeria.
Yeah, she's... I don't know. I
think she's too blunt. I think she's gonna piss someone off.
And that's just it. I think, but I don't think it's even gonna be in I don't think it's gonna be in camp. I think she's gonna say something in tribal that's gonna shift people's eyes.
And I could see her, and I'm not saying that she couldn't get to the end. I don't think they'll vote for her.
She could definitely win challenges at the end. She's a lot. Yeah. She's come through on the fact that she's strong and she can win things. So.
And Mark's going to say, well, I was controlling you. And then you did what I said and what I told you to do. And then you did what Kirby told you to do. You know what I mean?
I think at the end of the day, she has a likability problem. I don't think anybody on the tribe really likes her outside of Viola and Mark.
Because they're scared a little bit. She's a little cold.
And she's going to make big trouble.
Because what was she complaining about? What did she just say this week? She said something really rude about how, like, come on, like calling them like, I don't know, calling them weak for something.
All right, next person to mock is Caroline.
I don't think
Caroline's not.
She'll be gone by 8.
I see her going pretty quickly.
Because what's she gonna do? What's she gonna do after merge?
We have such great dynamics happening that are mirroring each other on each tribe because like the Kirby and Ferris, they should be working together. They should be working together as far as they can go, but they're not. And Mark and Caroline should be working together.
But they're not.
And they would have been had Caroline not went after Viola.
Right.
Which was not a move that needed to be made at that moment.
And it's the same thing with Kirby. Yeah. If Kirby hadn't have decided she needed that one dumb safety vote at the very beginning, she would have been trusted and they probably would have been better off working together.
Because they were each doing something for their own game versus their
And she wouldn't have had
game,
Garrett
right?
going, if she wouldn't have had Garrett being like, screw this lady, she can't be trusted. Really. Then Ferris wouldn't
She's dead to me.
That there, you know.
Yeah, Garrick didn't like her. I mean, he didn't like her like Al Capone didn't like Elliot Ness. Like, did you see that movie, The Untouchables? I want him dead.
Oh yeah.
I want his family.
I want his whole family.
I want to go to his
dead.
house and piss on the ashes.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. Garrick was an angry man that day.
He was not happy.
He'd had it with her.
Okay, so next up we have, and I'm not sure who this is, so I don't know if I can have an opinion. Scotty.
Scotty's good. Scotty's okay.
In a wonderful world, he might be
in the
least problematic person out there. The person who has just been nice to everyone. Yep. You know.
Maybe he's the final. Maybe he's the third. He's the final 3-0 vote.
Maybe
he's.
I see him as a fiber-filled poo, which is to say, he's a floater.
All right, but floaters win games. It's been proven.
Not too often, unless your name's Erica.
It's a constant. Hey, listen, it's, you know what? You keep overlooking this, but every single season in Big Brother, they, you know, and Survivor, they have some little like expose or some article written about it. And somebody is again proving how the floater game is. There's a reason they're floating and they float to the top. It doesn't matter. Can they seal it when they're at the top? That's their game right there.
They just bide their time.
Right.
Let people knock everybody else out.
No, I feel bad. The Australian season 3, which is season 1, and the gal who came out of nowhere and won it. There was a floater, but she had a compelling case at Tribal.
She had a story.
And that's just it. That's just it. You might float your way through all of the challenges.
And she had an epic performance in the final challenge.
But also, how well do you play socially? If we look back, I mean, there are plenty of people who have a good enough social connection that yeah, they might not make the big flashy moves. Their resume might not be sparkling, but they have their hooks in good with every single person sitting on that jury. You can float. You just have to be likable and observant.
That's where I think Scott could be.
Okay,
Maybe
we'll
see.
Okay, I don't see him as all that likable, but maybe I'm not seeing it right.
Again, I'm not saying he's going to win, but I think he could be a final three.
Okay, well next up we have my favorite. I think at this point to win, even over Mark, who is my winner pick, is Eden. I think Eden is.
I love
him. He's got tons of personality. Everybody likes him. He is floated to the background.
Yep.
Nobody's gunning for him. He's super smart,
but on purpose. He's been eating all his colon blow. He's like, I'm just gonna chill back here, guys.
Yep.
Doesn't it feel like Eden and Scotty and Raymond and should just have their own secret alliance that
oh no! Imagine the gummy challenge with the three of them. That would be awesome.
I will say Eden is still my favorite person out there that I feel like I could hang out with.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Of all the people, yeah.
Yeah, Eden should come to Raleigh. Eden would be great fun at Raleigh.
Yeah, he's fun.
Well, next we have
maybe he'll get some more screen time.
Riri.
Oh man, I think there's zero chance. I feel like her game when they did the the tribe swappy thing.
Wife swap.
Not wife swap.
What are they doing on this show now?
I think that demolished her any game she was ever going to have.
Yeah, I agree. And her closeness with Sarah when they did have the swap, the fact that she had to work so close with Sarah, and Sarah was just outing every move in front of everybody. I think it just left a mark.
I still loved Sarah doing that because I feel like Sarah was playing, and it didn't work out for her. But
it did not.
But they should have listened to her. She was literally like,
"It's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out for her."
Not
very well.
Wait, you just calling them out to their faces instead of this back and forth. It's like he was standing here, she was standing here. He was like, "Oh, really? You just told me this." Well, no, yeah, and then you told me this. Like, come on, what is it?
It's definitely that her responses to those things, especially when it was her and Ree together, definitely had high school drama, girlfriend drama, things going on about you said this and you said that and you said this. It was not a Survivor game. It was a social struggle, and she was having to clear up the injustice.
But that's why Sarah was a Titan and not a rebel, right?
So
that might be.
I have this kind of feeling in the back of my head that Rihanna doesn't have a likability thing going for her. Is that just a bias I have, or is it?
I just don't think she has any close friends on the tribe she's on right now.
She, to me, every time I look at her, she looks exactly like a U.S. player. There's a U.S. player that I swear to God, they look. What's her name? Anyway, no, I don't think she's going to last. She cannot win this game.
And next we have I think everybody thinks this guy's doing pretty well, is Ferris.
Well, he's good TV.
Yeah, he's hanging in there.
Yeah,
and
I think
and we have to thank him for being our reaction to Kelly most of the time.
Though I would greatly approve of if he himself would either stop doing it or production would stop trying to get him to do it, and the whole little comparisons that he's clearly trying to be impress George. Those little call outs couldn't it be done better by George? No, stop that. You're Ferris. Own your own game.
You're your own person.
Comparing yourself to this other person.
He still has a lot more Simon than George.
Yeah.
I don't think he's necessarily Simon, but.
Yeah,
exactly. George and Simon had a baby.
Oh. He's got such lovely hair.
He has really
beautiful hair.
And next up, we have a player who is growing on me like a fungus, kind of like George did. Raymond. I thought he was worthless for the first
because
6
he's
episodes.
Awesome, and
all of a sudden he's awesome.
Tell you, Also, can I tell you this?
And he has a great hat.
The hoodie that Raymond is wearing has been sitting in my Amazon list for like 2 years, and I just haven't pulled the trigger on it because it's like $60 for a hoodie.
But now that he has it, you're like, God, it really does look great.
That's the hoodie. That's the hoodie that I just always go, should I? Oh, not this time around.
So that makes you feel like you have like a connection with him personally.
Yeah,
like,
automatically. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, and the guy next is the guy who's probably gotten the toughest edit so far, Jaden.
Dude, Jaden he's sitting pretty. Wherever he is, he's sitting pretty. Like
well, do you think he's right when he says that he's like the entertainment and everyone likes him because he's just keeping them entertained?
Well, and I think look, remember when Mark, did the thing where he was like in the water, right? He was trying to like hide his size by the fact that he was in the water. I think Jaden is hiding his size, but yeah, I'm here, but I'm not really playing the game. I'm a big fun dude. And,
well, then he should probably stop carrying other human beings in multiples.
He's got his gym going on. He's got like.
Okay, tell me that wasn't the funniest thing in the challenge when he had. And they were just like two little kids that couldn't get out.
And it's like, go ahead.
Is he painting the illusion of being a big dumb animal, or is he?
Well, that's what he said in his confessional.
Okay,
kind of alluded to that.
When he was holding them in the water, did it not remind you of like Andre the Giant in Princess Bride when he's like helping them and like boshing things down and then just going like, okay, go ahead, I bashed the door in for you. Like he's
and the thing I thought in that moment, I went, okay, is that legal? He can just like hold him. Because I'd have bashed the man in the family jewels and would have been like, and there you go. Grab me again, dude.
But at the same time.
And then if I get yelled at, I would have said, Jonathan, well, that's where he grabbed me when he grabbed me.
Okay, but look, this is what happened.
I think people are afraid. They're like, ooh.
They made a mistake when they were making their matchups. And it's just like when you have like a ball game and you're like, you didn't make a good matchup to the pitcher. They put the tiniest people like, okay, you've got to go protect those balls from this guy, and you're a quarter of his size. So they knew it was hilarious. They knew it was a lost cause. No one was going to get mad. And then once they started getting carried, like everyone was laughing so hard. But if it had been a bigger guy,
ridiculous.
Like if it had been a bigger guy and he tried to carry him like that, that other guy might be fighting back because he has a chance.
He's like, he's not being mean about it. He's like laughing.
Yeah, and these guys are like, yes, we're accessories now. That's it. Yeah. That's all we are.
And look at Mark, how he flew across that pool.
How did he not win the first leg? How did he fail to win that?
Well, just because but he was still faster than anybody else.
He was. Yeah, he can swim. He was, and by the way, he's our next victim. Mark, that was two of our winners picks, right? Who else has Mark?
All three of us, I think, have Mark on the list.
Do we? No. Somebody wrote this stuff down.
I did. It's right here. Do you want me to read it to you?
Yeah. Read it.
I had Mark and V's.
My list is Mark, Winna, Valeria. David's is Mark and the V's. Christie's is Mark, Garrick, and Eden.
And everyone picked Mark to win?
No, the two of you picked Mark to win, and I didn't want to be calling it three ways, so I picked Winna.
So Jamie still has all three of her top three, and we only have just two each.
That's why I created this.
So one of yours has to go. Sorry, Jamie.
They will.
Okay.
Oh, they will.
Kirby, does she make it? Does she make it to the finals?
I think there's too much of a target on her.
I don't think that both Ferris and Kirby can make it. So if one of them were, who would it be?
Well, if Kirby can find a way to align with Caroline and make it work, she can make the final.
But how is Kirby not going to be bossy?
Well, I don't know. But if Kirby can get
how is Caroline not going to be bossy?
And Kitty and keep them for a couple of votes, she could run the table. But it won't happen, and you know why? Because reality TV history tells us 99% of all female alliances fail.
When they were at the luncheon,
you don't get to use that ticker tape when there isn't even a conversation about an all-girls alliance happening. You can't make it.
I created one just to use it.
Yeah, good job. I think at that reward lunch or whatever, dinner, luau, picnic, whatever, Kirby was really watching everybody.
Oh yes, she was.
This was a great opportunity for her to talk to people that she didn't have any or just watch the people that she doesn't know anything about. And she didn't seem to like she was trying to get anything from Caroline or Kitty. And so
she had to keep watching what Kelly was doing so closely.
True. Because Kelly was over there spilling all the beans. So I don't know. I don't think that she's going to be receptive to them. I think Kirby's one of those. She thinks she's got it.
Then she's toast.
I think
because that's her only route.
Yeah. Well, I think Kirby needs to. I think Kirby has just as good a chance, honestly. But she needs to have some kind of insurance. If she doesn't get an idol or something along those lines, they'll all group together and say, okay, this is the chance we have to get her out. If she has an idol, they might try to flush it and it might get her further because of that. But I think without it, they're going to all say she's the biggest threat. Like, I think that all sides will come together because, once it happens. Well,
even if she's not the biggest threat to get you out, she's going to be at the end. She's going to be able to have a lot of things on her resume as of right now. Yeah. So you don't want that.
And who's the one person working with Kirby who would feel confident enough to say, oh yeah, she would go to the end with me. Like, I can trust her to the end. I don't think she has that person, does she?
Scotty would probably think that. He would probably trust her.
I don't feel like Scotty is that loyal to her. I just think right now,
that's just circumstances.
He sees that as his best opportunity. But I think once it's merge time, he's fleeing. I
think Mark and Ferris are going to team up. I think
it'll be a Mark and Ferris combo.
Yeah, and I tell you why is because I think that Mark kind of wants to be in strategic control, and Ferris is okay with that. And I think it's a good mesh. Where Mark and Kirby are going to have one conversation. Mark's going to be like, F this girl, I can't handle her.
Okay, so we keep saying that this person's going to work with this person and Mark's going to work with this person. But then there's also the possibility that you're going to end up with team Ferris, Kirby, and Mark. They could just be three separate alliances going at each other.
Yeah, but I still think even if you ended up with that, I think Mark and Ferris, they would form a loose alliance then and get rid of Kirby.
Well, I think that you can maybe trust Ferris just slightly more, and you can trust Mark slightly more than you can Kirby, because Kirby is just going to go, about everything.
And it's funny how we're all kind of thinking Caroline's a non-factor. No one's like, she's going to be a big.
No, I think she'll try to be, but
I think Caroline's going to end up being a backseat driver.
I think Kitty's gonna walk away from their alliance after the merge.
I think Kitty will be a casualty before.
Oh, see, I think Kitty's final three. I think she's going to go wherever she has.
She's got it too. She's got it too. She does, because
I know, though.
I think she can make it through some of those challenges better than a lot of people.
She can. I think she can. I think that's why they'll be like, oh, get rid of her.
She's got to go. We got to get rid of her. Yep, she didn't win immunity this week. She's got to go.
Yeah, so she's got to go. Yep. Yeah.
So next week we may have a special guest, and if you think I'm an ornery, old, cantankerous sonbitch, you ain't seen nothing yet.
He's gonna be so honored that you called him special.
We're gonna bring a little New York flavor into Merge Week, and we're going to merge one podcast with another and talk Survivor. But we're going to bring our buddy Scott in so we can maybe talk a little bit more about how editing tells a story and what character development we've got going on. And once we hit the merge, what does that spell for some of the minor players?
I'm excited to hear who he likes and who he doesn't like and whose favorites are. And I hope he comes
he's
ready
been
with
kind of
his
coy. I've been trying to draw him out on
No,
the
that's
chat.
fine.
He isn't giving anything
Save
up.
Save it, Scott. Save it. Yeah, just come and tell us your top 3 and your winner pick. But don't take mine.
For all the listeners who aren't familiar with Scott, he spells his name with 1 T, and if you use 2, he gets really pissy about it, so don't do that.
Don't do it. Don't do it. He's not afraid to call you out. He'll call you a name.
But if you call Scott Eric, he doesn't like that either.
But you're not going to be spelling it. He's just going to be here talking with us. We don't have to worry about spelling.
And our schedule next week is still up in the air just a tiny bit. Chances are we still will be recording on Thursday. It's just going to be later or earlier or...
How could we go later? You'll be asleep.
We start at 9 o'clock. I can start at 10.
It might be later than that. Yeah.
Oh, no.
How late do your parents stay up?
Here's the thing. No. Here's the thing.
I got to be in bed by 10.
They are going to be at a hotel that has a swimming pool, and I have 2 children. We are going to be up until the middle of the night in that damn pool. So this is what's going to happen. We'll probably be airing early, but if you hit like and subscribe, you will get the updates as we know them. You can also go to our Facebook page. Go over to our Facebook page. We announce it on there. It's Tally the Votes. And then you're going to be in the know no matter when we do it. So
right. Facebook.
That's how we're
good old Facebook.
So merge week, it's upon us. We've got U.S. Survivor premiering the same week. So my life is going to be literally nothing but Survivor. I might as well just play the game.
For a little bit. It'll be feast or famine,
And we will certainly have a segment where we're ranking on U.S. Survivor next week, even if Jamie...
I think since we all watch, I don't think there'll be any way for us not to insert comments about U.S.
Well, okay, listen, we could all avoid the conversation, but we do this show with David. So no, we cannot. We're going to have to come with our notes prepared to either scoff and or...
I predict for the premiere episode of what season is this going to be for U.S. Survivor?
46?
46? Yeah, 46.
Okay. On this premiere episode, I predict every single contestant will be able to go up a ladder.
Oh, you know what? I'll take that bet. I guarantee there's one person too freaking weak to pull themselves out of the water.
Oh, I love it.
I think they learned. I think everyone will be able to pull themselves. Yeah.
I think so, but I don't think that everybody playing could find their own house and walk through a neighborhood and find their own way home.
No, probably not. There's always one, at least, right?
All righty.
Well, that's everything for this week then. Like I said, like and subscribe. We'll let you know when we're coming up next Thursday. And until then, enjoy the week. Have great fun. We'll see you on Merge Week.
Happy Merge.
Bye, guys. See you next week.